Hey, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you're new here, my name's Steph. The last video that I uploaded, I talked about my very first signs and symptoms of multiple sclerosis, and in this video, I'm going to explain how they all played out, how it led to my diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. The journey. And it starts simply with getting the flu. The flu and really wasn't feeling well, to the point that on, I think, Wednesday and Thursday, around that time, I was actually telling other people how unwell I was feeling. So over Saturday and Sunday, I actually went back and forth to the hospital. They prescribed me medication for vertigo, and I had actually gone back the day after because I was getting worse and feeling dizzier. Do you know when you're just feeling so unstable that you need to grab onto the wall as you're walking down a regular hallway? That's how bad it got. I had to grab onto every corner of the table. I had to grab onto every wall, every doorway entry, for stabilization purposes. Stabilization purposes. Y'all, I was crawling around my house. So Monday is where things started to get really bad. If you watched my last video, it's where I mentioned I started to turn crazy. So my speech started becoming noticeably slurred. I was starting to lose my vision. I became so sensitive to light that I had to wear sunglasses inside. So what did I do? I called my father. He brought me to the hospital yet again, and this time the doctor that was working agreed that something was clearly up. He sent me for a CAT scan at another hospital. So after having the CAT scan done, the neurologist said that he could see something was wrong, but we would need to have an MRI done in order to tell more. I was admitted, and over the next few days, I had an MRI and a spinal tap. So later on, he became my neurologist. But at that time, he said that he thought it might have been ADEM, acute disseminated, I don't know, I'll put the word across the screen. It means it's this rare brain disease. And if that were the case, this really weird spell that's going on in this moment would have only happened once. But because my speech and vision and motor skills were affected so badly, I actually got sent to another city for a treatment called plasma exchanges. I had one of those treatments a day for 5 days. They actually had to slice open my neck and put a tube down into somewhere, I don't know, in order to perform this. But when they did that, my heart, a weird fact about me, my heart's actually on the opposite side of most people, so they didn't know that, and they put it on the wrong side, and when they were trying to perform the treatment, oh my God, I was like in tears and I was like crying. It was so painful. I had to go into surgery again and get another thing put into my neck. Anyways, so laying on this metal table, watching a scalpel come towards my neck. Not a fun moment. So at this time, I was still using a wheelchair, a walker, some sort of a walking aid, and I could hold a fork, but I could not feed myself. Anytime I would try and bring the spoon or a fork to my mouth, because my stability was so shaky, all the food would drop off the utensil, and I ended up smacking myself in the face with the utensil every time. Somebody had to feed me. I also needed help bathing. I pretty much needed help doing everything. So after the treatment in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada, I returned to my home city where I waited to be placed in a rehabilitation center. So then I became an inpatient at Stancassidy Rehabilitation Center, and I spent most of my days attending different therapies. Physiotherapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, recreational therapy, all the therapies. And if you don't know what an inpatient is, it's where you live in the establishment that you're getting your treatments at. Depending on what the doctor says, you may be able to leave on weekends or certain days. After I lived in the rehabilitation center for months, I continued treatments and therapies there as an outpatient. I was in school in Moncton when I ended up having another, what we know now as a relapse, a year and a half later. And there's obviously a story to that. The doctors performed another MRI and another spinal tap, and that's when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.